Hey guys, I hope you're all well. Today I wanted to talk about a super interesting AI startup, Anthropic. I wanted to talk about the founding story, Anthropic's approach to AI ethics and safety, as well as what I find most fascinating and significant of all, their family of large language models called Claude, and especially how its newest model, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, leaps well ahead of OpenAI, Gemini, and all of the other leading LLMs. What it's able to do is absolutely insane, so I look forward to speaking about that in just a little bit. Before this though, I'd like to wind the clock back 3 years. There were a group of brilliant but disgruntled OpenAI employees. Dario Amodei, who had spent 4.5 years working at OpenAI, helping to create GPT-2 and GPT-3, before previously having had stints at Google and Baidu. He had risen up the ranks to become the VP of Research at Sam Altman's startup, and his sister, Daniela Amodei, had also spent more than 2 years at OpenAI, then working as the VP of Safety and Policy, as well as having had 5 years of experience at the payment processing company Stripe prior to that. Dario appeared on the Logan Bartlett Show last year, a podcast hosted by venture capitalist Logan Bartlett, where he pointed out that from a young age, he and his sister spoke about wanting to save the world. They both, alongside Jared Kaplan, Jack Clark, Ben Mann, and 2 other OpenAI employees, disagreed with the direction of OpenAI's strategy, and particularly its emphasis on commercialization. Hence, in early 2021, the 7 co-founders started the public benefit corporation Anthropic. Now here I think it's important to pause. Much has been said about OpenAI's pivot away from a non-profit research lab that was mission-focused on reducing the potential future harm of AI to a for-profit SaaS company which has consumer and enterprise products, as well as partnerships with Microsoft and Apple. In that context, the decision to found Anthropic seems prescient and valid for anyone concerned about the dangers of frontier models being commercialized. But while OpenAI has partnerships with these mammoth tech companies, Anthropic has partnerships with Alphabet and Amazon, in addition to a paid plan much like OpenAI. So while the founding story may very well be a righteous one, Anthropic is also commercialized, and so on the surface there's a similar risk that if Anthropic's models are ubiquitous, they could theoretically be used in a nefarious way by bad actors, such as in the extreme, being used to design biological weapons or to plot advanced cyber attacks. Arguably, by commercializing, they are following a similar path to OpenAI. Perhaps I'm naive, but I don't take this view. Firstly, Dario has been clear that to compete you need to commercialize. Frankly, investors demand a return on their capital, and as these models scale and the costs for training and inference extend to the billions and tens of billions of dollars, that becomes increasingly important. Therefore, the question of whether to commercialize or not is in a sense a false choice if you're a company wanting to do the most advanced work in AI. Secondly, Anthropic's leadership have spoken very heavily about how rather than merely scaling up models and hoping that ethics are picked up from the training data, they're extremely deliberate about imbuing the models with a set of moral standards that they call constitutional AI, where AI models are trained and governed by a set of principles or constitution. This approach aims to make the models more transparent and aligned with ethical guidelines from the ground up, rather than just applying safety measures as an afterthought. Furthermore, Anthropic has published a research paper explaining constitutional AI and going into detail about what these principles are. The inputs into constitutional AI include the UN's Declaration of Human Rights, Apple's Terms of Service, code that DeepMind used when they built a chatbot, as well as internal ideas from Anthropic, such as their policy on respecting copyright. All of which is very useful, as what it means is rather than people critiquing the Claude model for being woke or anti-woke or whatever else, they'll be able to have a look at constitutional AI themselves. Alright, people will probably still do this, but it's certainly a helpful document and framework, and putting it out in the open means that it can be analysed and external experts can provide suggestions for it to be improved. Thirdly, AI safety and alignment are huge priorities at the company, which also follows given that the siblings were previously the VPs of safety and research respectively. The company set out a responsible scaling policy last year, which aims to manage the risks associated with increasingly capable AI systems by establishing technical and organizational protocols. The RSP addresses catastrophic risks such as misuse by malicious actors or autonomous destructive behavior. The policy introduces AI safety levels similar to the biosafety levels for handling hazardous biological materials, with ASL1 for low-risk systems and higher levels for systems with greater potential for misuse and autonomy. The RSP promotes a balance between safety and innovation, potentially pausing the training of powerful models until safety issues are resolved, thereby incentivizing progress in AI safety. This policy, approved by Anthropic's board, is not meant to disrupt existing product use, but it aims to ensure rigorous safety standards before market release, akin to safety practices in the automotive and aviation industries. So essentially what they're saying is they want to be really careful that their AI isn't used by bad actors or the AI doesn't autonomously do bad things. Hence, Anthropic engineers and data scientists research methods to make AI behavior more predictable and controllable. They emphasize safety and alignment with human values, as well as trying to find methods and algorithms that make AI behavior more predictable and controllable. The black box issue is a significant one in AI research, whereby a model provides an answer, but even the people who created and maintain the model can't explain how it got to the answer. Obviously, the more you understand something, the lower the risk there is of using it. Anthropic, with their focus on predictability and controllability, are very concentrated on the concept of interpretability. What interpretability means is actually seeing inside the neural nets and pinpointing combinations of activated artificial neurons, something that's extraordinarily difficult to do as these neurons mimic the biological neurons of the brain. The brain is estimated to have, on average, 86 billion neurons and approximately 100 trillion synaptic connections. So this is really groundbreaking work. There's a great article in Wired magazine where Chris Olah, one of the 7 co-founders of Anthropic, is interviewed. He works on reverse engineering artificial neural networks into human understandable algorithms. And he makes the case that the progress the team have made is akin to interpreting MRI scans to understand human thoughts. By using an advanced machine learning technique known as dictionary learning, they're able to map the mind of a large language model, or to give a less anthropomorphic analogy, the team at Anthropic are able to decompose the activations of a multi-layer perceptron, breaking it down into its most core atomic elements so that the internal workings of the hidden layer in the neural network can be better understood. By mapping the specific combinations of neurons, they can identify what the model is thinking about, with the goal of preventing it from generating harmful content. In this context, meaning content that goes against the principles set forward in constitutional AI. This work doesn't have a clear financial benefit at the moment, despite the personnel and capital costs. Instead, Anthropic are doing it for the value of the safety research. Fourthly, unlike a traditional C Corp, Anthropic is a public benefit organization, meaning that investors can't sue the business for failing to maximize profits, something they may choose not to do if the more financially lucrative option diverges with AI alignment, constitutional AI, or Anthropic's RSP scale. OpenAI would also stress how important they take AI safety, but in the wake of Ilya's departure and his new company, Safe Superintelligence Incorporated, which is what my last video was on, as well as the reason that the 7 co-founders gave for starting Anthropic, This company, Anthropic, really seems to be leading on AI safety and ethics, much like how they are now leading in their language models, which I'd like to talk about now. So, to take a step back, I've mentioned Claude, Anthropic's family of LLMs several times, but now I'd like to go into greater detail on these LLMs. There are 3 different LLMs that are available: Claude Haiku, Claude Sonnet, and Claude Opus. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the names, they're all references to different forms of human creative expression, particularly in literature and music. And for those also wondering the definition of the company name Anthropic, it is of or relating to human beings, a definition that seems apt given what many people consider to be the more personable nature of Claude compared to other AI models, especially when you factor in the easily triggerable response that you often get with other LLMs, along the lines of, as a large language model, I am not, or I don't have. Claude, to me at least, feels like more of a anthropomorphic conversational assistant. While Anthropic has not specified the reason for the name Claude, there are many who theorize they have named their AI after the renowned computer scientist and mathematician Claude Shannon, who established information theory and laid the foundation for many of the theoretical underpinnings of modern AI. So, returning to the LLMs, 3 LLMs each make a trade-off between speed and intelligence, beginning with Claude Haiku. A haiku is a Japanese form of short poetry. This is Claude's quickest model that has near instant responsiveness but is lacking in the intelligence of the other 2 models. A sonnet is a longer 14-line poem, which signifies how Claude Sonnet is a larger, more powerful model, albeit slower at generating a response. An opus is a creative work, particularly a musical composition, that signifies how Claude Opus excels at writing and complex tasks. This is the smartest but the slowest model. It is the best for things like higher order mathematics, advanced coding tasks, and writing long-form creative content and more.
Here you can see the performance of all the models. What stands out is Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It has exceeded the 3rd generation of the other models on both speed and intelligence. The 3rd generation of these models were only released in March, whereas Sonnet 3.5 was brought to AWS's Bedrock and GCP's Vertex for API access, and to the Claude AI website and Claude iOS app only 2 weeks ago.
Claude 3.5 Haiku and Claude 3.5 Opus should be on the way soon as well. The CEO of Amazon, Andy Jassy, said in a tweet that Claude 3.5 Sonnet is the best performing model in the world today across multiple industry benchmarks for 1/5 of the cost of Opus. So it's better than Claude 3 Opus and only costs 20% what Claude Opus costs, so it's really remarkable. Anthropic prioritizes enterprise usage, but there's also a paid option called Pro for the website and app, which allows for 5x more usage and priority access. The model exceeds GPT-4o, Gemini 1.5 Pro, and Meta's Llama 400B model on a number of different important metrics, including graduate level reasoning, code, multilingual math, and more. Which is great, but I think what's even more interesting is to see what it can do in action. So with a 200k context window, it can work with up to about 150,000 words of text, but its capabilities go well beyond character prediction. Here's what the artifact feature is capable of: allowing Claude to share substantial standalone content with you in a dedicated window separate from the main conversation. And here are some of the pretty amazing ways people have used it. To generate code that simulates the interaction between particles with wormholes and black holes, to create AI-generated videos, and Claude 3.5 Sonnet is also even being used as a psychiatrist. The model is reportedly more popular than Llama, Mistral, and Mython Max combined, which is crazy.
It just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Anthropic's models will only improve, as will the models of the other research labs, but what they released last week was really remarkable, so I wanted to do a video to talk about it and the company as a whole. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it interesting. If you could like and subscribe, that would mean a whole lot to me. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.